Welcome to the Spooky Scary Show. We are two friends in two different states who discuss all things spooky, scary, and just downright strange. We read news stories every week. If you would like to suggest a topic or submit a paranormal story, email us at spookyscaryshow@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram and Facebook for spooky facts and updates.
Hello, ghosties.
Hi, guys.
How are we doing this week?
Doing good. It's been quite the week. What about you?
Lord, it's always been quite the week. But I have made it. It's Friday, and we are recording, and I have wine.
Makes everything better.
Yep.
I have beer.
That's the truth. Yes. Well, we actually do have alcohol, so should we try and do the words? If you say the certain words, you gotta drink. Like, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try it.
Lord have mercy.
Like, you have to listen, and no definitely, no so, no like.
What about yeah? We always say yeah a lot. That's kind of hard, because I like agreeing with you.
Yeah.
But it could be fun.
Yeah.
2 drinks for you!
I was assaulted by a child today.
Oh my god, did you punch him in the face?
No, for legal reasons, that's a no. Unfortunately.
Oh, that's good. What happened?
Well, for those of you that don't know, I like to say paraprofessional educator, because teacher's aide just doesn't encompass what it is that I do, I feel. But, so I'm a paraprofessional. I teach small groups of children in the special ed resource room. And one of them, outside, I was waiting for a bus, one of them came up and shoved me. This is literally like the hardest I've ever been shoved. I thought that I was gonna have to fight somebody today. I didn't know what was happening. Oh my gosh. He was,
put him up!
Yeah, no, like it was threatening. His aura was threatening.
I feel threatened! Oh my gosh. I mean, okay, so Pinky's been working in her industry for a long time, and back in my time, I was looking to make a career jump path, and I was like, I want to do what Pinky does, and...
No, you don't.
I quickly learned that it's not for the faint of heart, because this one place I interviewed at, was just... I don't know, I'm 5'1", not even 100 pounds, like, I'm tiny, and there was, like, teenagers who were, like, 6 feet tall, and we're at this kind of, like, alternative school, and they're like, yeah, so if you accept this position, we're gonna have to train you how to basically, like, take them down to, like, calm them down, and it's... I don't know.
Which is, it's ridiculous that they would even suggest that you would have to do that, because we do it too. We get what's called right response training, and it's like de-escalation techniques, but then if you have to restrain somebody, you have to be double their weight to properly restrain them, and if you're not, then you should not be restraining them at all, period.
Oh, good. Like, I don't know how it is at your school, but at this school, you always had to have a buddy. Like, you could not go to the bathroom by yourself. Like, you had to have another aide with you, and there always had to be at least 2 people in a classroom with the students at one time. Sometimes there was, like, 3. There'd be, like, 2 teachers and an aide, or 1 teacher and 2 aides, but it was, like, an alternative school for, kids with needs. And I walked into a room, and, like, one of the tall guys I was talking about literally, like, looked at me and was like, what did he say? He said, like, who the fuck is this? Or something along the lines of, another one? Or something. And yeah, she like really, really like, it was just like, like stressing that this isn't for everybody, and they can overpower you and stuff. I was like,
yeah. No, I work with little kids. I like 2nd graders because they can't beat me up too much, and they're usually pretty nice.
No. Cute.
You said like a few times. You should probably take a few drinks.
Did I? When did I say it?
When you were just talking.
taking a drink. I'm drinking Pinot Grigio. I don't know if I was drinking that last week.
I thought you were drinking gin with your juice box.
Oh, I have that as a backup. Okay, guys, for those of you at home, I have little ice cubes in the shape of pumpkins and some gin, and then to top it off, I have Honest Kids Berry Good Lemonade.
Oh my god. You're like a 12-year-old that's allowed to buy alcohol.
I look like one, so it's okay.
Yes, funny.
Oh, I love it. So what is our topic today, Pinky?
Our topic today is Unexplained Disappearances, or Where the Fluff Did They Go?
Dun dun dun. I think it'd be good. I had to throw together my story like literally 2 hours ago.
Literally.
Literally. Yeah, it was a crazy day at work, or week, I should say. But I'm excited.
So I have a little statistic real quick about disappearances. So, according to official statistics, in the U.S. alone, 2,300 people go missing every day. Around 91% of all cases are closed within 48 hours, and 99% of cases are solved completely within 1 year. This, of course, leaves 1% of cases that are not solved.
That's terrifying. So there's like literally a timeline, and then after that, you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
Chances are you're not ever going to be found.
Well, and people who disappear and there's no evidence or anything, and some of my stories you're going to be like, what?
Mine is too. It's crazy. It's just like poof. Oh, there was a couple. The original one I wanted to do, they ended up finding her body, so it wasn't really like, oh, where the fluff did they go? But I think she was also in Arizona. Seeing a trend. And it was a stalker-related a story where she had like a person who was like harassing her and like calling her. Just like saying how much they loved her and like threatening her. And then she took her friend to like the hospital because she was bit by a black widow. And the friend like walked out in front of the hospital, and she was last seen speeding out of the parking lot like a bat out of hell. And then they found her car in flames, engulfed in flames, like 10 miles down the road. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. It was crazy. And then, after her death, for, I think it was like 6 years, the person who murdered her kept on calling her mom's house every day on Wednesday. Yeah, and one day her dad answered the phone and the guy like never called back, so they think maybe the guy either died or he thought somebody new moved into the house, so he's like, okay, well maybe I don't need to call them anymore.
That's so weird.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't like it.
Let's get into my story. I pulled this article, and then I also inserted a link of her actual missing person's bio. That is still online. You can't judge a book by its cover. In the same vein, you can't always judge the elements of a criminal case without first exploring all of the facts. Too often, investigators fail to notice or place importance of crucial details and find themselves going down the wrong path completely. And this story is an example of that. So the year was 1995 when Braveheart and Jumanji were fixin' to be two of the year's biggest movies. It was just like any other Wednesday in the small town of Goderich, Ontario, Canada. A quiet place, like many of the towns surrounding, where not a whole lot happened. On May 31st, 1995, 16-year-old Mistie Murray told her parents that she was attending a band practice in her hometown in Ontario, Canada. Mistie never returned home, and her friends said that there was no band practice that night. So a little backstory on Misty. Misty was adopted, but since she'd recently made contact with her biological mother, there was some speculation that she might have ran away. However, the investigation would eventually focus on Misty's adoptive father. And remember how I said above that if you pay too much attention to the incorrect facts, it can lead you down a very misleading path.
Mm-hmm.
However, the investigation would eventually focus on Misty's adoptive father, Stephen Murray. Since Stephen had been seen boating on Lake Huron on the day of Misty's disappearance, authorities came to believe that Stephen murdered her and dumped her body in the water. Even though Misty's body could not be found, Stephen was charged with her murder.
That's crazy.
That's so fluffed up.
Like, circumstantial evidence?
Yeah, like, well, I guess you have a boat, so you could have done this. However, the case against Stephen was complicated by 97 eyewitnesses' sightings of Misty, which took place after Stephen was alleged to have killed her. Yeah, but do the cops change their focus? They do not. In the weeks following Misty's disappearance, several teenagers who personally knew her claimed to have spoken to Misty in Goderich, in the nearby town of Clinton. There would also be sightings of Misty in Toronto and London, Ontario. According to witnesses in London, Misty had become involved in drugs and prostitution and left town with her pimp once her disappearance started getting publicity. In spite of these sightings, Stephen Murray still went on trial for his adoptive daughter's murder, but the case against him was so faulty that it only took 45 minutes for the jury to acquit him. The police faced heavy criticism for their investigation and were hit with a lawsuit from Misty's family. Which I don't blame.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And imagine being the stepfather and, like, your stepdaughter's missing and then the cops are just looking at you.
Yeah.
Like, that somebody took your daughter, basically, and
yeah. Ugh. Like, there's rumors of her, you know, being a prostitute and she has a pimp, and there's, like, 97 eyewitnesses
97?
who say they, like, saw her. No, it's insane.
What the fuck?
Like, I don't even think 97 people could recognize me. That's insane.
Right.
Ooh. Took a drink for that one. So, Misty's family, with their lawsuit, claimed that the police force focused too much on Stephen and failed to pursue any leads suggesting that Misty was still alive. So they just assumed, no, she's dead. He killed her.
Messed up.
Yep. So she remains a missing person for over 20 years. But today, I actually found an article that was posted on July 18th, 2019. I don't know. This is just so crazy, guys. So hold on to your hats. So earlier this year, as winter melted into spring, Anne Murray, the mother, hoped of finding Misty still alive was fading. But even as Murray despaired, a young woman was seen in Vancouver matching Misty's description, right down to the gap between her front teeth. On city streets that are a magnet to the young and homeless, a furtive woman who called herself Mallory Morgan Lane sought shelter. Those who helped her were struck by her likeness to the posters of what Mistie Murray might look like at the age of 21. They were virtually certain the women were one and the same. And this is a quote from the Free Press and Child Find. We are 99% positive that we have seen Mistie Murray, who uses an alias and regularly accesses youth services in downtown south area of Vancouver. Citing their emails, two concerned citizens in Vancouver and saying they were bounded by confidentiality, The pair appeared to work for social agencies running homeless programs along Granville Street. Their descriptions of Lane matched the accounts of Emily Clark, a worker at a nearby shelter called Covenant House. Clark phoned Child Find on March 23rd saying a woman named Lane, air quote, strongly resembled an age-enhanced photo of Misty she had just seen on the back of a CIBC bill. Lane had no valid identification and refused to have her picture taken. So a number of factors that made Vancouver sightings far more promising than others, since Misty was last seen in the area of Goderich in June 1995. The sightings were made by people who had regular contact with Lane, some in a professional capacity. In previous sightings, people who saw a woman once, often briefly and at a distance, who resembled Misty. The Vancouver sightings were made by people who had seen an aged-enhanced photo of what Misty would look like now. Earlier sightings were made by people who had seen posters of what Misty looked like when she disappeared in 1995. Lane told social worker stories about her background that were strikingly similar to those Misty and the biological mother who gave her up. Asked by a worker at Covenant House if she were Mistie Murray, Lane became hysterical and fled. These are by far the best sightings we have had of Misty since she disappeared, said Child Finds Lori Chapman, who was headed up the search for Misty. More promising clues. I mean, it just gets deeper and deeper, and it just gets so crazy.
Yeah.
More promising clues were revealed when the Free Press reviewed confidential welfare records and phoned street workers and employees at the safe house. According to the welfare records, Lane arrived in Vancouver area last fall, staying a few months at a safe house. A worker there wrote description of Lane, including characteristics matching Mistie Murray, from hazel eyes to what experts called a distinguishing feature, and a gap between her two front teeth. Lane hid her true identity and was often vague about her background, workers said and reports showed. But what little she did say could have been pulled from biographies of Misty and Oldfield. Like Misty, Lane was born in Nova Scotia and spent early years in foster care. Like Oldfield, she said she lived on the streets of Toronto beginning at the age of 14. Is it her?
Kind of sounds like the same person. I don't know.
I know. Misty often embellished or made up stories to impress others. She also created a number of aliases, most of which included the initials M and M.
Curiouser and curiouser.
At the safe house, Lane, like other residents, had pictures taken on a camera that produced no negatives, but instead a sheet of images. A few months later, when Lane left, she demanded her sheet of pictures, then tore it to shreds. Lane went to even greater lengths to protect her identity. In February, she applied for and received social benefits. She did so even though welfare records show she did not provide valid identification, a requirement in British Columbia. In April, agency workers presented Lane with an ultimatum: provide a valid ID, apply for identification, or get cut off from the benefits. Well, Lane chose to be cut off. We doubt that she has shared her true identity with anyone, wrote the citizens who emailed their sightings. In her desire for secrecy, Lane had an ally, frustrating efforts by Child Find to track her. Social workers at the Covenant House zealously protect the bonds they forge with those seeking shelter. The cornerstone of their relationship is trust. So perhaps it's not surprising Covenant House refused to cooperate with Child Find when Chapman asked the shelter to gather information that might identify Lane. I encouraged her to gather more information without alerting Lane to the fact that we were hoping to make a positive identification, Chapman said. The supervisor refused, offering only to alert Child Find when Lane returned. But when Covenant House next phoned Child Find in early May, it was to deliver bad news. Lane had returned only to be confronted by a worker who told her officials suspected she was Mistie Murray. Lane ran away. By the end of May, she dropped out of sight.
Why?
I know! So this person who's like, sounds a lot like her, has like the same background information and everything. She's so adamant about like not being found. So now they go back to the mother's house to interview her. So on September 25th, the police phoned. They had a photo from a social agency in Vancouver. 4 days later, Anne Murray, the mother, was waiting in her cottage. Someone knocked on her door. 2 officials walked in, one carrying a folder. Sitting down in the living room, one reached inside the folder and pulled out a photo and placed it on the coffee table. Anne Murray lost her breath. The long-faced, bronze-skinned, haired pulled to the side. It was Mistie, but just for a moment. Then there was doubt. The eyes were too big, the bridge of her nose too wide. I wonder if she could look like this now, Anne said, as she thought out loud. Then there was a quiet sadness of a woman who has learned through 6 years not to hope too much. It was as close as I could get to seeing Mistie, Anne said. Now the Murrays want to get as close as they can to saying goodbye. They'll do so November 10th, 2018, in a Mass at St. Joseph's Roman Catholic Church in Stratford. We want to offer her back to God. It is time to put her back in His hands.
That's so sad.
I know. They decided. I mean, if she is alive, she really doesn't want to be found. Like, there's nothing more that we can do. But I hope maybe in her tiny little podcast, if she finds a way to, like, listen to this. Honey, I don't know what happened to you, but your mom loves you, okay? Just send him a sign that you're okay. They can help you.
Right? Oh, gosh, what was so bad that happened that...
I know.
Obviously, there's no, like, backstory about...
No.
She was adopted. Did it say when she was adopted? How old she was when she was adopted?
She was 16.
Oh, so she had been in the foster system then.
Yeah, because below it said that she was homeless when she was 14,
okay.
So who knows what happened.
Yeah.
But, I mean, maybe since she was, like, in the foster system, the pimp somehow found her, or it could have been her boyfriend or something.
Or even the parents, her adopted parents. You never know.
True. Yeah, like, she does not want to be found.
DIY witness protection. That's crazy.
I know. So that one was kind of like a little twist. It's like, where the fuck did they go? But they're still here. But then, like, where the fuck did they go, like, again? If that is even her.
Yeah, that's not even for sure. Like, all the people that saw her. Oh my god.
Gosh, I can't imagine being the family.
No.
Oh, my heart's go out to them.
Because you know how that feels. Like, if you don't get closure with something, it's, like, way worse. I think people missing and people disappearing without anything, any evidence, that's way worse than, like, knowing that they're dead, you know?
Yeah.
At
least with death, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they're not here. But, like, with this family, they're like, oh, no, she's still alive. Like, hundreds of people have seen her and recognized her, like, prostitutes and, you know, other people of the streets.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. 20 years. God damn.
I know. Alrighty. So, I'm super excited for what you got for me today.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
My story is called The Disappearance of Brandon Swanson. 19-year-old Brandon Swanson lived in Marshall, Minnesota with his parents. On the night of May 14th, of 2008, after celebrating the last day of college classes with a friend, he was driving home along a gravel road and somehow crashed his car into a ditch.
You know what's always kind of fascinating is hearing, I mean, obviously it's not only, like, women that go missing, but I feel like men that go missing don't get as, like, much traction.
Yeah.
As, like, females.
Well, there's something to be said about, like, the abduction of females, too. I think that women are generally more targeted for abduction if that's what's happening to these people, in my opinion.
That makes sense.
Not that men don't get abducted too, but I think it's rarer.
Yeah, that's true.
Unable to move it himself and get back to the road, he called home at some time after midnight and asked his parents to pick him up near Lind, a small town southwest of Marshall. His parents left the house and began driving to pick up Brandon, at the same time speaking with him on his mobile phone to determine exactly where he was. After getting to the location which he had described, they started flashing the car's headlights so that Brandon could start walking towards them. Brandon told them he couldn't see the lights at all, so he got back into his car and started flashing his own headlights in the hope that maybe they would see him. His parents said that they couldn't see anything either.
Ooh.
Both sides got increasingly frustrated, and Brandon eventually said that he was going to start walking towards the town of Lind to a friend's house.
Oh no. Not by yourself?
Well, he's 19. It's not like he's a little kid.
True. Okay, you're right.
He said that he knew which direction to head as he could see what looked like the lights of a town. His father dropped Brandon's mother back at home, and then began driving again to find his son. At around 2 a.m., Brandon and his father were on the phone to each other, with Brandon desperately trying to direct his father to where he was, and Brandon's father equally desperately trying to locate his son. 47 minutes into the phone call, Brandon suddenly exclaimed, "Oh shit!" and the line went dead.
Oh no!
And that was the last time anybody heard anything from Brandon Swanson.
Oh my gosh, he fell! He fell somewhere!
His dad tried calling back a number of times, but Brandon never picked up his phone. His frantic parents continued the search, but were unable to find him. A few hours later, at around 6:30 a.m., they notified the police.
Damn.
Since that day, more than 500 volunteers have spent over 120 days looking for Brandon, or any evidence pointing to where he could be, covering over 100 square miles in the process.
Damn.
This has included over 30 dog handlers from 9 different states. The result? No evidence, no clues, nothing. The only thing that has ever been found is Brandon's car, which was discovered around 20 miles away from where he told his parents he thought he crashed.
Shit.
I know. The authorities say that there is neither any evidence of foul play, nor any evidence that Brandon would have staged his own disappearance. They have also said that they do not believe there was any evidence that he was intoxicated or impaired in any way, and if he was drunk, for instance, then it's likely his parents would have picked up on this over the phone.
That's what I thought. Like, maybe he was, like, tripping on some, like, acid or drugs or something.
But yeah, you'd think the parents would know. They did say it was a party, but maybe they just didn't know. I don't know. The authorities received over 75 tips about Brandon, but none have borne any information that has led anywhere near to finding him. The last official search was conducted in October 2011, and age-progressed photos have also been distributed in the hope that somebody may recognize him. So here are some of the theories.
Oh, God.
This person says, as a crime writer, I find this case fascinating and disturbing, and I have looked at countless theories around what happened that night. The most prevalent theory is that Brandon must have fallen into a river or creek. What you said.
Yeah.
Possibly the Yellow Medicine River, which is 15 feet at its deepest point, and would have been running...
I can't swim, so that's terrifying.
Yeah, maybe he can't swim. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 15 feet deep and would have been running incredibly fast at the time he disappeared. The problem with this theory, however, is that there would be some trace if he had fallen in, and so far nothing has been found at any point of the river.
Okay.
A number of other theories have been considered, including the idea that Brandon might have hidden in an abandoned structure to escape the cold and then succumbed to hypothermia, or that he was attacked by an animal and taken away. Yet, again, the main problem with these theories is that of evidence. Or, more specifically, the big fat lack of it. If, for instance, he did hide in a structure, then surely it would have been found by now. Not to mention the fact an animal attacking, fatally wounding, and then dragging a person away would leave a huge amount of evidence behind.
True.
Yet more theories are that Brandon was either hit by a car or picked up by an apparently helpful driver who turned out to have a malicious intent. These theories have major flaws, however. If a person has time to register danger, swear down the phone, and then end a phone call, surely they would have time to get out of the way of an oncoming vehicle. And if he was picked up by someone, surely he would tell his dad, who he was on the phone with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if someone had just offered to give him a lift home, why would he swear at all?
Yeah.
Crazy. I don't know.
I know it. It's aliens.
Maybe.
Aliens. It has to be. Just kidding. I mean, no disrespect.
On the subject of the phone call, a huge question here is why the phone call was ended. If something dangerous was imminent, it seems unlikely that Brandon would actually hang up the phone. He would be more likely to drop the phone, and his parents would then hear anything that was going on, such as a struggle, or whooshing of a river, or the impact of a car. But instead, somebody pushed end on the phone. As has been asked so many times in this case, why? An answer might be that Brandon dropped the phone, causing the battery to fall out, and so ending the call that way. However, Brandon's dad said that after the call ended, he kept trying to call Brandon, but he wasn't picking up the call. Which means the phone was in working condition, but not being answered. At time of writing, 6 years later, there is still no evidence or even a trace indicating what happened. In spite of all the searches using state-of-the-art equipment and techniques and all of the theories and hours of investigation and searches, we are still no closer to knowing what occurred that night or where Brandon Swanson is now.
Dang.
There seem to be more questions than answers.
That's so scary.
Impossible as it may seem, a 19-year-old man seems to have literally disappeared without a trace. As a result of these events, a new law has been introduced, and this requires police in Minnesota to begin immediate searches for missing adults under the age of 21, as well as any older adults who have been reported missing where there are suspicious circumstances. It has been named Brandon's Law.
Oh, that's crazy, because I know, like, back in the 90s, at least in the U.S., where you had to wait, like, 72 hours if they're an adult to, like, report, like, a missing persons. But if they're a child, you can report them missing at any case, any point in time. But I feel like now, I feel like we have changed the laws where, like, if a person is missing, you can, like, call it in and everything. And that is terrifying.
And like I said earlier with the woman thing, like, he's not a woman, he's not a girl, he's a 19-year-old man. Like, you're a man when you're a 19-year-old. Like, what?
Where'd you go? Like, oh shit.
That's crazy. And his phone wasn't dead?
What do you think might have happened?
He hung up his phone. Like they said, he hung up his phone. He said, oh shit, hung up his phone. I don't know, it must be aliens.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to go with, like, maybe, like, a bear attack or something.
But you wouldn't hang up your phone, though. I don't know, if a fucking bear is charging me, like, I guess if it was 2008, I guess it was a flip phone, you could probably just shut it, huh?
Yeah, or, like, if it just came out of nowhere and it, like, scared you and you're like, oh, shit! And you're just like, you close it.
Drop your phone and then it shuts off, I guess that makes sense.
You know, and then,
but
no blood or nothing, but I mean, stuff like that gets, like, covered up, maybe? I don't know. Ooh.
Yeah, they did say that they were about 20 miles off. They found his car about 20 miles off of where he thought he was, but still, like, with as many people as they had looking, you know that they covered that whole area.
And
I don't know.
2008, I was in 8th grade, so there was definitely Google Maps, right? When
I don't think grade? That it was...
Maybe not,
was
actually,
that 8th grade?
No.
2008?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't as prevalent. Like, yeah, there was Google Maps, but it wasn't like everybody had a smartphone and could...
True.
People still printed off of MapQuest and used paper maps and...
True. Okay, I retract. Dang. Too bad they can't do, like, GPS on, like, the phone or nothing.
Yeah. Did they find the phone? I have so many more questions.
No. Probably not. It doesn't sound like they found, like, anything. I want to look up what this guy looks like. Maybe he was on, like, drugs? Like, maybe shroomies? And then he's just completely, like... I don't know. I'm horrible with directions, so I would
theory.
Easily be the person to be, like, 20 miles off course.
Yeah, no. Like, if he was on drugs or something and his parents didn't notice, he wouldn't have to be on, like, a lot of mushrooms or acid or anything like ecstasy, any kind of psychoactive substance. He could even have been high as fuck, you know? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And got scared or whatever, hung up his phone, put it in his pocket, and then fallen in the river somewhere that they didn't look. I don't know. The wilderness, I don't know exactly what, like, the terrain of where he went missing was like, but if you ever gotten lost in the woods, it's really fucking easy to get lost in the woods.
Seriously, no,
and once you get turned around, I imagine he's probably on a road, but it's probably rural, and he's walking to a town where he thought was there, maybe. He thought he was looking for the town of what, like, Liddell or Liddell?
Yeah.
Because he saw lights.
Yeah. I sent you a link of his trail that he walked on. You remember, like, back in the days when we used to, like, party in the desert and, like, hang out and stuff? And, like, you could see, like, false lights, kind of, in a sense. Like, if you're so far out there, like, you think, oh, like, that could be, like, the Phoenix lights, or that could be, like, Florence. So maybe what he thought he saw
like your
was
perception.
Actually, like, way farther off. I don't know.
No, poor kiddo.
Yeah. So, yeah, on this link you could see distance. So there's, like, a huge circumference of where all the dogs covered. And then within there... I don't know, this, like, tiny little line of how much, like, the distance of his car.
The red radius, 3.1 miles, possible max distance covered. Yellow and orange line, distance done by dogs, 2.94 miles.
Oh, okay.
Yellow and orange line.
I flipped that in my head. I thought the red was the dogs.
Okay, so they didn't cover that whole circumference. They just walked that path. Well, that doesn't seem very thorough.
No. Like, that's, like, nothing compared to...
And he's walking right along the river. So it's very possible that he fell in the river there. Yeah. I don't see... why would there be evidence of him falling in the river?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Oh, spooky, scary.
Alright, are you ready for my next one?
Yeah, I'm ready.
This story is about Bobby Dunbar. A young child goes missing. The whole country starts looking for him, and eventually the family gets him back, only to realize that he wasn't their kid after all.
Oh my gosh, I think I might have heard about this one! Ooh, oh, this is crazy! If it's the one I'm thinking of.
No, this isn't the invasion of the Body Snatchers or an episode of The Twilight Zone, but an actual event that happened in Louisiana in 1912 to the Dunbar family. And in the end, the truth was stranger than fiction.
Dun, dun, dun.
On August 23rd, 1912, the Dunbars went on a day trip to Swayze Lake in Louisiana. As the family played in the water, suddenly, little Bobby, only 4 years old, disappeared. Leslie and Percy Dunbar searched everywhere for their boy, but were forced to call the authorities after their search turned up nothing.
Maybe I haven't heard of this story.
The local police and eventually the state police began a statewide manhunt for the boy. They caught and dissected alligators and threw dynamite into lakes, hoping it would eject the body from the water. My God.
Yikes.
None of their efforts turned up a body.
Oh my God. I'm just gonna blow this shit up and hope I find someone.
Right?
God damn.
Like, fuck all the fish here and everything else living here. Jesus.
Or like maybe his body floating that could be blown up into little bits?
Well, none of their efforts turned up a body. Then, 8 months after Bobby's disappearance, the Dunbars received good news. A boy matching Bobby's description had been found in Mississippi. A man named William Cantwell Walters, a traveling handyman, had been seen with the boy. When authorities caught up with him, he claimed the boy was Charles Bruce Anderson, the illegitimate child of his brother and a woman who worked for his family named Julia Anderson. He claimed that the boy, who he referred to as Bruce, had been left in his care by Julia while she left to go look for work. Many residents of the town backed up Winter's story, but the police still arrested him and took the boy into custody. The initial reunion between the boy and the Dunbars remains disputed to this day. One newspaper claimed it was joyful and that the boy instantly shouted, "Mother!" upon seeing Leslie. Other accounts claimed that both Leslie and Percy Dunbar were hesitant to confirm that the boy was Bobby. The next day, after taking the boy home for the night and bathing him, Leslie Dunbar said that she had positively identified moles and scars on his body that confirmed he was her son. The police allowed the Dunbars to take little Bobby back to their home. However, a few days after the Dunbars had taken Bobby home, Julia Anderson herself showed up, backing up Walter's claims that the boy was her son. She said she had allowed Walters to watch him for a few days while she looked for work, and that those few days had turned into months when she hadn't been able to find any. The police then called the Dunbars back, requesting that Bobby be a part of a lineup to see if Julia could correctly identify him. She couldn't. She asked whether he was the boy who had been found, but when she wasn't given an answer, she admitted she was unsure.
Oh, that's so fucked up.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
However, she returned the next day claiming that she was, in fact, confident that the boy identified as Bobby Dunbar was actually her son Bruce. News had already spread, though, that she had been hesitant the day before and that the boy was living comfortably with the Dunbars. The courts were hesitant to bring the case back up. Unable to pay for a court battle anyhow, Anderson returned to her home in North Carolina, leaving the boy with the Dunbars. At this point, the Dunbars were fully confident that the child was Bobby. He had returned home and acclimated well, was playing with his brothers, and showed signs of remembering things at the house. Because of this, Walter was convicted of kidnapping and spent 2 years in prison for his crime before his attorney appealed. Due to the cost of the first trial, the court declined to try him again instead of releasing him. Until the end of his life, he maintained his innocence in the case. By now, it seems that everything was well and good. Bobby had been reunited with his family and was adjusting well. He grew up and got married, eventually having 4 children of his own before his death in 1966. Though he had been told of the events that had happened during his childhood, family members recounted that he always maintained that he knew who he was and that he was Bobby Dunbar. Then, in 2004, Bob Dunbar Jr., son of Bobby Dunbar, consented to a DNA test. His daughter, Margaret Dunbar Cutright, had been investigating the events and wanted to prove once and for all that her grandfather was Bobby Dunbar. The DNA from Bob Dunbar Jr. was compared to the DNA from his cousin, the son of Bobby Dunbar's younger brother.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! What's the test gonna read? Oh my god.
The test was conclusive. Bob Dunbar Jr. was not blood related to any of the Dunbar family.
Dang! Flum, 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 flum.
You are the father.
Are not the father.
The boy the Dunbars had claimed as Bobby Dunbar all those years was, in fact, Bruce, son of Julia Anderson.
Dang. Murray!
What?
said Murray.
Murray! The Anderson family was thrilled as they felt the test vindicated their claims. The Walters family as well was overjoyed as the evidence exonerated the kidnapping claim against William. As for the real Bobby Dunbar, his fate is still unknown. Margaret believes that the child fell into the lake and either drowned or was eaten by an alligator. Some journalists theorize that Leslie and Percy Dunbar had done something to their son and had used Bruce Anderson to cover their deeds. Authorities claim that they found footprints leading away from the lake and that they had heard claims from locals that a suspicious-looking man had been seen carrying him away, but the rumors were never confirmed. The mystery remains unsolved to this day.
That's terrifying. I heard about this story too, and the press was not nice to either of the mothers. It was really mean to the mother who was like, you don't even recognize, like, Bruce. Like, you don't even recognize your son. And then same for, like, the other mother too. Like, she received, like, a lot of backlash. But then again, it was, like, the 1920s, so, like...
Yeah.
There wasn't, like, people still didn't really, like, I feel like give women a lot of, like, respect that they should have received. They're just like,
definitely
you're
not.
a woman. No. Yeah, you weak conscious.
Hysteria! Masturbate her!
Insane asylum.
I could see, you know, if she was a mother and she like, her son was 4 and she left for months. I don't know. Kids grow really fast. I mean, I don't have a kid, and I don't know how that goes. Maybe I'm being out of line saying that, like, she wouldn't recognize her son, but...
There's also, like, hysteria, which you're like, so upset, like, that, if you're not in the right, like, mindset, I don't know. Dunbar. Bobby Dunbar.
God damn it, Bobby.
Look what you've done now. That wraps up the Spooky Scary Show. If you enjoyed this podcast, please show your support by liking the cast or by following us. We are an independent podcast with big dreams, so if you would like to support us, check out our Patreon page at Spooky Scary Show. Also, join in on the conversation. Follow us on Instagram at Spooky Scary Show for science and spooky facts. Scare you later.
Bye.
Spooky.
I'm offended. You're talking about 90-year-olds having sexual relations. I forgot what we were talking about. Yeah. Scary, we're ready. Okay. So, Goderich? Oh my gosh, excuse me. Okay. Sorry. I think it's a publicity weird. Sorry. Darlene Oldfield. Oh, ignore that. Reviewed confidential welfare. Lord have mercy. Had an alley. Oh, I'm so sorry, Pinky. I can't read. Identification. Hold on. There's like this huge boom. Oh, that scared the shit out of me. Scared the fucking shit out of me. Oh my gosh, that scared the crap out of me. Oh, that just scared the shit out of me. And it's like... Oh. And you're like, I am so hungover. I want to die. I just spilled beer all over myself. He got his marijuana. Yeah, let's get it done first. Before we get too drunk. I know. 19-year-old Branton's... Oh, just kidding. I don't know what I did here. The authorities received. Thank you. Oh. Slow the more drunk I am sometimes. Yeah, because we fucking drunk, so we read in slow. What? So maybe there is a little bit of science to our madness. Or you put your juice box in your gin. Hey, number 2. Swayze? So fucking Tigor knocks that shit down, and then I go out there to, like, pick it up, and he's just chilling on the stairs, and he looks at me, and he's like, look out! And he, like, turns around and just, like, hop down the stairs. Fucking asshole.
Like, yeah, that was me, bitch.
Yeah, he's, like, waiting, like, yeah, it's about time you pick that up.
Peasant.
It's like a book.
God damn it, phone. Thought I turned it down.
Oh, yeah, no, that's like strippers. Yeah, I like the bald guy. He was always so good. Yeah, he was like, I'm an ex-police officer, and I'm gonna kick your fucking ass. Oh, honey, they do more than just still dancing.
No thanks. She's made a comment before. There was, like, some erectile dysfunction medicine on the TV, and she's like, that stuff works great. Like, what? My Catholic grandma? What? Did you just say?
Oh, she getting it, honey.
Leave me alone. Let's just cuddle. Don't poke me with that.
Oh, my God. Okay. I think that's a sign we should probably do our outro.
Inappropriate. Explicit content. Demonetized.
Why can't I have a normal voice, Pinky?
I'm in danger.
That wraps up. Oh, my God.
Save that for a blooper.
Okay. Don't sound too drunk.